The laugh cut through the rain-soaked street like a slap, sharp and careless, echoing off police lights and wet asphalt as a young girl stood trembling beside a dented pickup truck, clutching a backpack too big for her shoulders. The officer's amusement came easy when she insisted her single dad, a quiet veteran who fixed engines by day and mended broken fences by night, had once been special forces. In that moment, with sirens wailing and suspicion thick in the air, the world seemed ready to crush a child's faith. What no one knew yet was that the truth had a way of stepping forward when it mattered most, and when it did, everything would change. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet strength of people the world overlooks, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to channel name right now. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. The father stood a few steps back, hands visible, shoulders slightly hunched not from fear but from habit, the kind formed by years of staying small so others could feel big. His hair had gone gray earlier than it should have, his face etched with lines that spoke of deserts and nights without sleep, of orders followed and promises kept. After the war, life had not unfolded like the speeches. There were no parades waiting at home, no seamless transition into normal days. There was only a little girl who needed breakfast every morning, a house that needed fixing, and a mind that still woke him before dawn. He had learned to live quietly, because quiet kept the past at bay. The incident began with something small, as most turning points do. A misunderstanding at a roadside checkpoint, a missing registration paper soaked through by rain, a routine stop that tightened into something heavier. The girl had spoken up when she sensed the tension sharpening, her voice thin but steady, insisting her dad knew what he was doing, insisting he had trained for harder moments than this. The laugh followed, not cruel by design but careless in its certainty, the kind that comes from believing you have already sized someone up. Around them, other officers shifted, hands near belts, eyes measuring the man by his worn boots and grease-stained jacket. For the girl, the world narrowed to the space between her father's back and the flashing lights. She remembered nights when he had woken from dreams he never explained, mornings when he ran farther than anyone else in their small town, evenings when he taught her how to tie knots that never slipped. She remembered the medals tucked away in a box he never opened, the way he avoided fireworks, the way he knelt to her level when he spoke. To her, his past was not a story of glory but a promise of safety. When she said he was special, she meant he had always come back, even when parts of him were left behind. The father felt the old instincts stir, the ones he had buried under routine and restraint. He kept his breathing slow, his gaze soft, because escalation was a language he no longer wished to speak. He had learned that proving yourself to strangers often cost more than it gave. Still, something in his daughter's posture, the way she squared her shoulders to protect him, tightened his chest. He wanted to tell her she didn't have to fight his battles. He wanted to tell the officers that strength did not always announce itself. As rain continued to fall, a call crackled through the radio, urgent and edged with confusion. Down the road, chaos had unfolded. A multi-vehicle collision had trapped people inside twisted metal, and the scene was deteriorating fast. Traffic snarled, tempers flared, and the nearest rescue units were stretched thin. The officers exchanged looks, their laughter gone, replaced by calculation. Protocol demanded control, but reality demanded help. The girl saw the shift before anyone else. She felt it in the air, the way her father's posture changed, the way his eyes focused not on authority but on need. Without raising his voice or stepping forward, he signaled readiness the way he always had at home, a quiet assurance that if something broke, he could fix it. When permission was granted in cautious fragments, he moved with a speed that did not look hurried, a confidence that did not ask for approval. He reached the wreckage and the years fell away. Training resurfaced not as memory but as muscle and breath. He assessed hazards, stabilized a vehicle with tools borrowed from his truck, guided panicked bystanders into purposeful action. He did not shout, he directed with clarity. He did not boast, he worked. Hands that had once steadied rifles now steadied lives, extracting the injured with care that balanced urgency and gentleness. In the flashing lights and rain, the scene transformed from chaos into choreography. The officers watched, disbelief replacing skepticism as the man they had underestimated moved like someone who had done this 1,000 times. Procedures unfolded with precision. Risks were mitigated before they became disasters. When additional units arrived, they stepped into an operation already in motion, finding victims stabilized and hazards contained. Questions lingered unasked because answers were visible in every efficient choice. The girl stood at the edge, rain soaking her hair, pride warming her chest. She did not need apologies or recognition. She only needed the world to see what she had always known. When the scene finally settled, when the injured were on their way and the road began to breathe again, silence returned, heavier and more respectful than before. The officer who had laughed earlier approached, posture altered, eyes carrying the weight of reassessment. The father accepted the moment with grace, neither gloating nor shrinking. He did not recite his past. He did not list deployments or units. He simply ensured his daughter was warm, wrapping his jacket around her shoulders, kneeling to check her hands. In that simple act, the greatest proof of who he was lived plainly. Later, as paperwork replaced urgency and rain softened into mist, the town would talk. Stories would grow taller with retelling, labels would be applied, and reputations would shift. The father would return to his quiet life, to engines and fences and early mornings. But something fundamental had changed. The officers had learned a lesson about assumptions. The girl had learned that truth does not need to shout to be heard. And the father had felt a piece of his past integrate gently into the present, no longer a burden but a bridge. In the days that followed, kindness appeared in small ways. A nod from a patrol car. A free coffee left anonymously. A note slipped under the door thanking him for what he had done. None of it fixed everything. Nightmares still came sometimes. Money was still tight. But dignity had been restored in a way that mattered. His daughter walked a little taller at school. He slept a little deeper at dawn. Near the end of that week, the girl asked to keep the jacket he had given her that night, rain-stained and worn. It smelled like oil and rain and safety. He agreed, understanding that objects can carry stories when words are too heavy. He watched her leave for school, backpack bouncing, and felt the quiet pride of a man who had learned that being special was never about recognition. It was about readiness when the moment arrived. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to channel name. Your engagement helps honor the quiet heroes among us and keeps these stories alive for others who need hope. Before the ending, we have a special request for you. Please comment below with the words, "Quiet strength," if you believe that true courage often walks unnoticed. As the rain finally cleared and sunlight broke across the street where laughter had once cut deep, the father and daughter drove home together, the world feeling a little fairer than it had before. Not because everyone had changed, but because one truth had stepped onto the scene and refused to be ignored.